Hello everyone, this is Karon3 giving you now game 6 in the series. Had to stop and think about it for just a moment as Naxeo has given MVP a 3-2 lead. And now it will be a Zerg versus Zerg as Naxeo has spawned as, the red Zerg in the top right hand side of the map. LOL versus XD. I'm not quite sure how to say his name, but I know he is part of Karon3. And it is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg matchup here on Whirlwind, one of the few maps that actually has 4 possible spawning locations in the current map pool. Now, what is going to be going on in this particular game? What are we going to be seeing here? What can we expect from both of these players? Zerg versus Zerg, one of those matchups that seem to be really volatile in Wings of Liberty, and I have yet to cast that many Zerg versus Zerg here in Heart of the Swarm, so I am as interested as you are to see what the strategies will be. Now, so far from the games that we've seen, it really doesn't feel like any of the two teams have really fully embraced Heart of the Swarm yet. So far, we've seen 1, maybe 2 of the new units or upgrades that is Heart of the Swarm. I guess Zerg using Mutalisks with their very fast health regeneration does count as well. But we don't see that many Viperers, we don't see that many Swarm hosts, and it really feels like players are going back to what they're used to. Protoss, perhaps the race that you'll most likely see some of the biggest changes, just because the Mothership core is such a strong early game unit. Reaper really not doing as much as we thought, as we are now taking a look into the game, and we'll see what will be going on here. Naxeo and LOL, or both Zerg players, red versus blue, doing fast expansions, as spawning pools are now coming into play. So far, the only real difference is that the extractor is already in for Naxeo. Meanwhile, the Blues are just got it up and running, so that means Metabolic Boost will be behind for quite some time. Now, are we expecting to see a long macro game or a shorter game? And that still seems to be determined. Oh man, my throat is starting to itch. That's still yet to be seen, as we do see both of the hatcheries are now already set up. Now, in the old days, it was a lot of 2 bases versus 2 base for Zerg. A lot of Zerg players didn't really want to expand. They didn't want to risk taking another base, as taking that another additional base exposes you to a lot more attacks. You have to expand towards your opponent, and with that, your reinforcements are slightly slower, and your opponent's reinforcements are slightly faster. With this, we are already seeing a Baneling's Nest come in, so in the early game for Zerg versus Zerg, it is really Zerglings, Banelings, and Roaches. Zerglings generally beat Roaches in equal costs. Banelings generally beat Zerglings in equal costs, and then Roaches generally beat Banelings in equal costs. So it's kind of like this rock, paper, scissors matchup where at any given time you need to have overlords in position in order to snipe down and figure out what your opponent is going for. Zerglings now trying to make a move in, as we do see a Baneling Nest already coming in on the front door. A new queen now coming in, and you can see that it is throwing the darts at that poor Zergling. And what is going to be happening next? The queen now not even bothering to catch up here. Not quite sure. Could get off another 1, 2, 3 attack, 4 attacks rather quickly. And there's the other queen to come down and finish it off. Coming around, Overlords still in position here. You can see Overlord here as well. Now just flying into the location and now playing a bit of scouting. Spine crawlers are in position as well. You always want to make sure you can remotely detonate those Banelings if at all possible. Now, what I am a little bit concerned about is that there is still this wide opening into the mineral patch here. I am surprised that the Baneling Nest didn't go here by chance, instead placing it right in the center where Naxeo could easily, or the Red Zerg can easily come down this side if need be, or come around this side to hit the drones in the back here. Overlord now being pushed back by another queen, and this is going to be one of those situations where we see very minimal creep spread, as the red Zerg already going to tier 2. Now, with tier 2 on 2 bases, it doesn't look like any drones are on this gas just quite yet. That may actually have been a mistake. I think Nexeo's trying to go for Mutalisk, as Mutalisk are very, very strong in the Zerg versus Zerg matchup. The reason why, the first person to get to Mutalisk generally comes out ahead, and that's what we are seeing now. Red coming in with Mutalisk or with that Spire. Meanwhile, blue is going to be teching to tier 2 or a third base, not teching the tier 2. And if he is not going to get these additional queens, he is going to be in a world of hurt. There's nothing that can really stop those Mutalisks once they get on the field, and trying to counter with your own Mutalisk generally is non-productive. All right, blue now trying to make a move out, but red does have a counter army that looks to try to put pressure on the front door, and all he's doing is trying to buy time. If he can buy time for these Zerglings, to not be inside his base, then he has done enough. You can see that the Spire is about to be completed, needs about another 20 seconds. Zerglings all getting cleaned up here, and the Spire still needs about 25 seconds. A new round of Zerglings now going to try and come in and engage. Here you go, sea of Zerglings. Zergling on Zergling action as a bathing hit. Wow! That was a huge, huge hit there. And that goes to show you why Banelings beat Zerglings 9 times out of 10, especially if you are not paying attention. And that was a potentially devastating blow, as we now see that that Baneling could have dealt so much damage. There you go, another detonation here. Zerglings trying to finish it off. Is it going to be enough? Hatchery down to 60, 47, 35, 32 hit points, and it does stay alive, only to see Zerglings now come in. You can see the transition as the red Zerg now going after queens instead, and that is a beautiful play. That's the only thing that can stop the Mutalisk. And with the only unit that can stop the Mutalisk, one of them taken down, there is only two queens on each side of the field. All right, Zerglings are ready to go. Mutalisks are now out, and what is going to be happening? LOL, the blue Zerg realizes how much trouble he is in. He needs to engage, and as quickly as possible. Baneling eggs are going to get canceled one at a time, and what is going to be happening next? More Banelings now coming in. Oh, there is another hit there. Are these Banelings going to be able to make their way through? There's one detonation. There's a second detonation. Not enough damage at all. And this is not looking good for blue. Blue now down by about 30 supply, especially with Mutalisk in the air. And Nexeo easily takes Game 6, giving MVP a 4-2 lead in Teamstory Cup over... just forgot the name again. All right, Karon3. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it.